Hello, everyone. You're listening to Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory.
And I'm Freeman.
And we are changing culture and bringing back traditional values.
Amen.
Hello, everybody. This has been a very busy week.
It has.
There have been a lot of things going on that we must talk about.
I know. I kept wanting to text you. Oh my gosh, did you hear? Oh my gosh, did you hear? Oh my gosh, did you hear?
Yeah, a lot of things. So we'll probably split this up. We'll probably do one as a Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll do this Teacap. But there's just so much. Before that, though, how has your week been? On a personal level.
My week has been good. Let's see. I went out to Birmingham Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
It was good. I've got some grandparents there. I helped my mom with her home decor, and that was really fun. We went for a shopping spree. So
fun.
That was really fun. What about you? How's work?
Work is work. I'm going in every day.
Good.
Which is good. Yeah, that's big for me. There was a point last year when my brother was like, "Oh, you went in all 5 days." I was like, "I did this week." Yep.
Why is that? They just don't call you in?
No. Sometimes I take a sick day.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Prioritizing myself, you know?
Nice.
Some days you just don't want to do it. So you
well, especially if you're driving an hour out.
Yeah. So
okay. What do we have today?
Okay, so before we get into the stories, I have a couple of announcements. First announcement is I want everyone to get excited. We're having our tea April 15th. That little video, it said April 14th. Did not realize that, but we'll do more videos between now and then. But April 15th, from 2 to 4 p.m. You can get your tickets at thosearethegirls.com/events. Outfits, the idea is kind of princess, fairy. How else would you describe?
Yeah, I think I like the country, maybe.
Country? Okay.
I just think like floral, like southern.
Yeah. Okay.
Southern French.
Yes, Southern French or British because it's a British tea house.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
I don't
we
know
have
what
pictures
British
everywhere.
is.
I don't know either. But I don't know.
Feminine. It's just feminine.
Yes. Whatever you feel most comfortable in. So that's April 15th. April 14th, they finally announced it. Culture of Life is having a fashion show. And their fashion show is actually the day before. Where coincidence? Or is it not a coincidence? Woo. So if you're already coming up for the fashion show, you might as well go to the tea.
Might as well.
If you're already going to the tea, you might as well come to the fashion show.
Might as well.
So I'll also link the tickets for that so you can register for the fashion show. Like I said, our Patreon will probably do a midweek tea time in the Patreon because we have some other things. And I haven't told Freeman this yet, but I just got off the phone on the way coming down here. I talked with someone who was going to talk to us about fertility.
Oh, good.
And she is going to try to get someone that she knows that works in the medical field to come and do a Patreon exclusive for us.
Oh my god.
So now is the time. Yeah. She's gonna answer some questions and we're gonna talk a little bit, especially during Women's Month. Mm-hmm. She's gonna
I have some questions.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. So we're in the works for that. So you're gonna wanna go ahead and join the Patreon now.
Yeah.
Now is the time. There's gonna be really good content in there.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you're looking for something generous to do this Lent. It's a great time to do your almsgiving.
Yes.
It's not too expensive either. You can start at $5 a month.
Yes. And honestly, it really, you should see how we're recording this. I think it's a really good example of starting in your garage. You should even see how it is when I'm in my bedroom.
We should do it behind the scenes.
We absolutely should. Yeah. So when you give to us, when you are donating to us, it really does go to help make this better. And the better it is, the more people that will listen. And the more people that will listen, the more we can get our message out. Because this is how we're going to change the culture. By being in these spaces, by being on the Apple Podcast list, when they're looking for a pop culture podcast, who are these girls? Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I don't necessarily agree with them on this, but I'll hear them out. That's how we're going to change. That's how we're going to make a difference.
Yeah. So
if you want to be a part of that, join. You can join for as low as $5 a month. If the Lord leads you, $60 a month will be great as well. That will really help. $5 a month helps as well. Literally anything helps at this point. Shopping our merch helps as well.
Yeah.
I do want to mention, by the time you hear this, you will probably hopefully you'll be on your way to a Stop Abortion RX protest. Mm-hmm. But if not, you should definitely get involved in one. If you don't do one by the time you hear this, there's also so many others that I'm sure going to happen across the country. Sure. And I wanted to talk about this really quick, 2 seconds on this. I saw an article today that Walgreens said they won't distribute abortion pills in states where the GOP AGs object. So we're making a difference.
Wow, that's amazing.
So we're doing something. We are doing something. Wow. It's not like we're out here in the void. This is why we use our voice. This is why we say, like, your voice actually matters, because it does.
For sure.
It's an article with Political. I'm going to post it on the Instagram so you guys can see it. But, yeah.
That's great.
And then we have new merch. We have this really cute Barbie collection exclusive. I absolutely love it.
It's really cute.
It's super cute. We have, like, little wine cup things.
Yes.
Little chubby cups. We have
a
tumbler. Yep, that's the word I was looking for.
Chubby cups.
Chubby cups, tumbler, same thing. We also have, we have t-shirts, a cute little crop top. We have a Don't Text Your Ex, Text Your Senator phone case. Cute. We have a case for your AirPods. We also have a travel mug with our Other Girls Barbie theme. Mm-hmm. We have vinyl or decal, vinyls and stickers. So many cute things. And when you order from there, you're helping support those other girls as well.
For sure.
All right. That is all of the announcements. Do you have anything you're thinking about? Did I forget anything?
No, I think that's it. I'm looking forward to this weekend going out to South Carolina with you.
Yeah. It's going to be good. Make it a difference. And you can too. Find whichever one is in your town.
Yeah.
And if there isn't one, join one. Start one.
Start it.
Yeah. All right. I guess we should get into the main stories.
Alrighty. Here we go.
Are you ready?
And
I guess I should sip it. All right. Our first story is something that everybody's talking about, and I think it's important for us to be talking about it as well. Jessa Duggard Seawald tearfully shares that she had a miscarriage. Jessa Duggard Seawald, this is from today, from today.com. Jessa Duggard Seawald revealed that she had a miscarriage while pregnant with her 5th child. As Jessa Seawald explained in the video, toward the end of her first trimester, in December 2022, she was feeling nauseous, fatigue, and food aversions, along with, quote, the tiniest amount of vaginal bleeding. A small amount of bleeding during pregnancy is often perfectly normal, but sometimes it can signal a miscarriage, according to the Mayo Clinic, which defines a miscarriage as a spontaneous loss before the 20th week of pregnancy. Oh, I didn't realize it was only 20 weeks. I mean, it was as early as 20 weeks. Or as late. Anyway, she then had an ultrasound. Quote, as soon as she started taking a look at the baby, I could tell there was some concern in her voice. She said, well, the sac looks good, the baby does not. At that moment, I was just in complete shock. I didn't even have words. I just immediately started crying. I feel like in some ways, miscarriages can be so much more jarring because you don't have clear signs of something is wrong. I had minimal spotting for like 24 hours, and that was it. A miscarriage is one which the fetus dies or never formed in the utero, according to the Mayo Clinic, but the pregnancy is not expelled from the body. Seawald continues, I ended up having to go see my doctor because of my history of hemorrhaging and all of that. That was concerned that if I tried to just take something or pass the baby at home, that I might have trouble and have to be transported and all that. It just wasn't something that seemed like a very good option. And so we decided to go to the hospital and get checked in there and go through the process of a D&C. According to Mayo Clinic, dilation in curettage, D&C, is the process of removing uterine tissue to either diagnose or treat uterine conditions or after miscarriage or abortion. Seawald clarified in a comment posted under her YouTube channel that her baby's heart had stopped beating 3 weeks before her D&C. And she noted that she also had a D&C 2 weeks after the birth of Ivy due to retained placenta. Okay, so that was a lot right there. Essentially, I wanted to read like that whole thing just because I wanted to give like a full picture of like what happened and what she said. And then yeah, we'll discuss it. Freeman, do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You can go ahead.
Okay, so first thought is a miscarriage is awful.
For sure.
I've never experienced one. I've never been pregnant, so I don't know how that feels. But I can just imagine, you're planning for a child. You felt your child. I don't know how true this is, but I feel like if I were to get pregnant, I would just know. Like, I'm sure there's things that can happen you might not know if you're not really in tune with your body. But hopefully everybody's going to start charting and things like that. So you're going to know. So you felt this thing for weeks, months even, and then all of a sudden it's no longer there. It has a soul and everything. So it just sounds like the most horrible experience. And I think what makes it worse is part of the reason why we need to talk about this is so many people on the internet were saying, oh, so she had an abortion. She had an abortion and now she doesn't want people to have abortions. Blah, blah, blah. And that probably makes it even worse because you're already feeling bad that this happened. It happened naturally. I mean, she said the baby's heart had stopped beating 3 weeks before her D&C. So that's already kind of a long time to have a baby that has passed in your uterus. Yeah. That's kind of scary that it was there that long. But my whole point is though, this is something completely different.
For sure. And
people who are pro-choice, pro-abortion, they're using this instance to rag on her, and that's just so terrible. Also goes to show they're not really pro-woman because even if you truly felt that way, she's going through something, why kick her while she's down? It's just terrible. But we've done episodes on this, we've talked about it. I can maybe even link some on this. An abortion and a miscarriage are two completely different things. Yes. Abortion is intentional, a miscarriage is not. Yeah. And to say that it's the same thing is just reckless, it's dangerous, it's very dangerous. I posted a clip talking about it on TikTok. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Someone commented something really crazy. They were like, let me see really quick, sorry. They said something, it was a doctor, she's signed a doctor.
Oh, I love that.
She goes, she said, all she said was, you were so wrong. Find a medical professional. And I said, you don't know the difference between killing intentionally and removing an already dead fetus? Yikes, medical professional. Which is kind of sassy, but, you're a medical professional, you don't know the difference? That's scary. I almost want to screenshot and find her clients. Be like, hey, just so you know, your doctor doesn't know the difference between intentional killing and a fetus that's already passed.
Yeah, that's part of the frustration I have with the term spontaneous abortion.
Yes.
I heard the term many times through college.
Yeah.
Spontaneous abortion. I remember raising my hand once in class and being like, Professor, Oxford Dictionary literally says an abortion is intentional. So isn't a spontaneous abortion an oxymoron?
An oxymoron, yes.
And she was like, listen, if you have a problem with the whole entire medical community, don't bring that to me. And I had people in my class be like, that was actually a good question. Yeah. I didn't know. And I don't know if they were pro-choice. I don't know if they were pro-life. They were just this is confusing for me.
Yeah.
And I talked to my mom about it, and she's like, it is a really confusing term.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine having a miscarriage and then somebody telling me, I'm so sorry about your spontaneous abortion.
Yeah. Awful.
It's a completely different scenario.
Yeah.
It's a completely different intention. I mean, a successful abortion stops a heart.
On purpose.
Yes, on purpose. That is completely different than mourning a child that has already died.
Yeah. And I also want to recognize in the medical code in some states, it does say spontaneous abortion. That is a word.
Yeah, it is.
And why that is, like you said, I'm not sure. And the more you were talking, I was thinking about this. I wonder if we could do something about that, because I think that's also where the problem is. There is a disconnect. A lot of people were commenting that on other posts I've done too, people will be like, well, a spontaneous abortion, a miscarriage is spontaneous abortion. Well, I think we should be pushing back, because you're right. Spontaneous abortion, spontaneous intentional, opposites, oxymoron.
Yeah.
So we should be pushing back on that. And I like that you we're honest about, it does say spontaneous abortion. Because I'll admit, the first time I heard that, I was like, that's not true. And then I was like,
me too.
Like,
I know.
What is this?
I kind of made a fool of myself in class. I was like, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
And she was like, it is.
Yeah.
And don't talk. But I wish she had maybe said, like, I get it. I get why it's confusing. Let me explain.
Yeah. And I think when we're having this conversation with our friends, because this is why we're talking about it, when we're having this conversation with our friends, we have to acknowledge spontaneous abortion is a word, but it's an oxymoron.
It is.
And the difference between an abortion and a miscarriage is the intentionality. And that's just what we have to do. And we have to push back on it. Because my concern is, we keep having this narrative float around, and then more people will start changing their minds to become pro-choice, and more lawmakers will start thinking, well, they do make a good point. If this is a spontaneous abortion, it's like, no, stop for a second and think logically. Also, every law that's been created since Roe has something for if the child has passed. It doesn't get rid of D&Cs. It gets rid of D&Cs for abortions. And I think that's something that's also key.
Oh, people do not know that.
Yes, the D&C is not completely, they're not throwing the tools out and be like, oh, we're never doing this. Don't ever put that on the insurance. No, it's just for abortion.
And even she mentioned that she had to have a D&C
after she had a baby.
Yeah, for her placenta.
Yeah.
Like a part of her placenta was still in her uterus.
Yes,
That is healthcare.
Yes, that is actual healthcare.
Yes.
And I also want to add, because sometimes someone also commented on that video, so you just want women to die? And I was like, well, listen to the full video. I say, if a baby has already passed, it needs to be removed immediately.
You can get infected.
You can get sepsis and die.
Yeah.
Like, women can actually literally die if the baby's not removed immediately. So, no, there's no pro-lifer on this earth who is saying, just let the dead baby in and let it pass. No one's saying that. We're saying that the D&C procedure for abortion is what we're against. Abortion is what is wrong. The intentional killing is what the problem is. And my heart really goes out to Jessa and her family during this, because I'm sure it just doesn't. I mean, I've also had people post or comment, someone had said, she had a miscarriage and it was coded as a spontaneous abortion on her insurance. She said she saw that, she burst into tears. Because it's you don't want to see that. Because you didn't do it intentionally.
Exactly.
So
we have something in our hearts telling us that something's wrong.
Yeah. So my heart goes out to the families. I'm sure seeing all this online is heartbreaking.
For sure.
But yeah, so when you're having a conversation with your friends, make sure you talk about the difference between spontaneous and intentional.
For sure.
Okay, so next story we're talking about for 5 seconds because I'm kind of fatigued over it, but I said I'd mention it. That's kind of sassy. I mean, it's got to mean it.
No, that's good. That's fine.
Long story short, Ben Shapiro of the Daily Wire, he made a post about the song Flowers by Miley Cyrus. Exactly. You guys know the song. It's a beautiful song that has great meaning, a great message. Long story short, he posted it and he was saying how it's about it's anti-marriage. His exact words were, the entire premise of the song is that loneliness is good. And the only person you ever need is yourself. And your relationship is falling apart. That's good too. And okay, I'll say what I said. So I essentially said, well, Ben completely misunderstood the song. It's not for him. Because it's not. Let's be honest. He's a 40-something-year-old man.
True.
The song is for those of us in our 20s, us young adult women. And then I said the song is about it's okay to be single. And you don't have to be single and lonely. I am very blessed with amazing friends and a relationship with Jesus. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm super lonely and crying all the time. I'm not. And it's saying that sometimes boys can be mean and hurt your heart, but you can still get flowers. And then I was like, well, what are, I don't know what's happened the last couple of weeks, but I feel like sometimes, all of these people, actually, I'm not going to say that, scratch that direction I was going. Maybe I'll say that on Patreon. Okay. I'm just curious about, so that's all I'll say about that. So I just wanted to say really quick in regards to this, I think that marriage is wonderful. I'm not anti-man at all. I'm pro-men. I love men. Now, do I joke around sometimes? Absolutely. I've been hurt, so I'm going to say a joke or two. I'm going to get my jokes off, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But I do think there needs to be like a balance because, our chief purpose on earth is to glorify God. It's not to be in a relationship or not be in a relationship. It's not to be single or married. It's to glorify God. So if we start making marriage an idol, I was actually talking to my friend about this. Marriage can become an idol. If you start making marriage an idol, then you're
worshiping something else.
Yeah, you're outside of God's calling. I want to read really quick. Noelle Fitchett. Fitchett's her last name, which is funny because my middle name is Noelle and my last name is Finch.
Oh yeah.
She posted something that I think is really good. I'm just gonna read it really quick, and then Freeman, I can tell you got something bubbling up. Okay, so she said, in the age of trad versus boss babes, here's an encouragement to the single girl. So she wrote about like other women, but then this is what I want to read. Singleness is just as valid of a season as marriage is. Both teach us different things. I have learned lessons in my singleness that I don't believe I would have learned had I married young. Though I'm not married, I'm sure I will learn things in my marriage that I have not learned while I'm single. Every season we experience is purposeful. No season is better than the other because everything from God is good, both joy and sorrow. Marriage is good, and it isn't wrong to desire marriage. However, God has taught me things through singleness. He's taught me contentment, joy, comfort, and much more. Encourage women to seek Christ more than a husband. And doing so, they'll most likely find both. I loved that.
I love that.
I think that is a great message for young women. I think that if you're listening to this and you are single and you're feeling almost like kind of left out in this conservative conversation sometimes, remember these things. Follow Christ. Seek Christ. And if you are meant to be married, your husband will come. I remember someone said this in a talk I was at, because, been Christians, I've heard all the talk, I've heard all the things, wait for God, how are you going to get out there, how are you going to meet someone if you don't get out there, I've heard it all. But at a talk, someone said that you're going to be running along doing what God has told you to do, someone else will be running along doing what God tells you to do, and then you're going to bump into each other, and then you're going to make a triangle, because you're following God, they're following God, and Christ is at the center. So you have a triangle. So that, I think, is what everybody should do. Walk in what God has called you to do, and when you find the person, you find the person.
For sure.
And if it's not till 40, if it's not till 60, it's not till 60. But as long as you're doing what God has called you to do, if you're just running along, you'll run along too.
For sure.
And that's my 2 cents. What are yours?
So devil's avocado.
Okay.
I'm not devil's advocate.
Devil's avocado. Oh, okay.
The song does say, I can love me better than you can. Do you think she's talking about any man, or are you anticipating she means like some toxic guy?
I think she means her ex.
Who is...
Liam. Yeah. I think she means Liam.
Okay.
I think I understand where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. I understand do you know the full story behind the song?
I don't. I really don't.
Okay, so I understand, if people don't know the full story behind the song, and I can have sympathy.
Didn't he cheat on her?
He cheated on her, and so, okay, let's get into it for 2 seconds.
5 minutes ago,
it was not really going to talk about it. I'm just going to show you, and I get personal all the time. So there's this part, okay. Ooh, sorry, let me find the full lyrics. Okay. There's a part where she goes, I didn't want to leave you, baby. I didn't want to fight. I started to cry, but then I remembered, I can remember the flowers. And then there's another part where she said, paint my nails cherry red, match the roses that you left. No remorse, no regret. I forgive every word you said. Okay, so it's, for me, that I forgive every word you said was very important. You know my story. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't want to leave you. I didn't want to fight. So there's a part where it's you don't want to do this. Mm. Okay. So also I will say this. I do not think you should break up with someone in a marriage if they're just mean to you, or if you feel like you fell out of love. I don't believe in that. I believe that you're going to have ups and downs. You gotta push it. You gotta stick through it. You already did it. Sorry, you already made the commitment. work through it. And it's possible. Millions of people have done it over the years. It's possible. But, if you're dating someone and they're, like, really mean to you, like, you don't have to stick with that. Yeah. So I do think, like, I don't know, I think these words are not necessarily bad. Like, if you put it in the context of, like, this is after her breakup. This is after all that stuff that happened. I don't think it's this, like...
anti-all men
vibe. Yeah.
It's, like, anti-this man.
This particular man. And I'll be honest, that's how I'm singing it. Anti-a-particular man. I'm thinking of a particular man when I'm singing it. Yeah. Not all men, but a particular man. And, like, I think that... Yeah.
That's interesting. I imagine Ben Shapiro probably thought it was, like, anti-all men. But I see what you're saying, which you should know the context before you make a sweeping argument.
Which, Ben Shapiro, I highly doubt. Ben Shapiro has been following Miley Cyrus since she was in Montana. I doubt that he knows all this stuff about her like the rest of us do. So that's why he's making just a sweeping argument. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's people who took it that way. Like, I'm not gonna act like people didn't take it that way. Mm-hmm. But it's like, is that her fault? Is that anyone's fault, really? Mm-hmm. If you don't know the full context, like, do you have to put out, like, a full context before you do a video? I don't know. But...
well, that's an interesting take. I'm glad you put that perspective in my mind, because I didn't really think about it either way.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying about how you can be anti-one man, just don't be anti-men.
Yes. You know what? Yes. Let's talk about that for 2 seconds. I think it's okay to be frustrated with someone that has hurt you. It's okay to be against that person. Totally. But you can't, like, move that to everybody. Yeah. Is it hard out here? Absolutely. I cannot even express how difficult it is out here. If you are married, thank God that you are married. But you can't put everyone in that box. I think that, and I think I said this last week, sometimes we get so frustrated about everything that we forget that, like, okay, there are good men out there. Yeah. Where they are, haven't a clue. But I know they're out there. Yeah. That's what everyone's telling me. So I'm going to hold on to that. Once again, don't know where they are, but they are out there.
They're at church.
Yeah, well, yes, they should be at church. Yes, absolutely. Should be where they are. Don't doubt that for a second. All right, mid-roll ad.
Okay, yeah.
The rest of the episode is brought to you by American Woman Beauty. These are beauty products for the free-thinking woman. They have high-quality beauty, grooming, and hygiene products. They're also doing a little, like a little giveaway. Fun. Yeah, let me, like, read it real quick.
What do you have, like, 80 DMs?
Well, I don't open things and look at how many, let me see. I can do it here. Look at how many text messages.
Gosh, she has 381 text messages.
Yeah. Anyway, so American Woman Beauty, they're doing a free Thinking Woman campaign. You can, to be featured, you can do a photo or video of you wearing any of your favorite products and tell them why it's important to preserve womanhood and why you have chosen to support companies that value women.
We should do that.
Yes, I was literally just about to say that.
Like in the car ride tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be fun. So you can DM it to them or you can email it to them.
Cool.
And they'll post it. So that's a fun thing for American Woman Beauty.
Yeah.
And if you use the code MAL15 on their website, you get 15% off your purchase.
Good to know.
Okay, so the next article, the next story, is brought to you by The Guardian. And here we go. Alex Murdaugh was sentenced to life in prison for the murders of his wife and son. Sentencing came a little more than 12 hours after South Carolina attorney was found guilty of 2021 killings. Alex Murdaugh, the disgraced South Carolina attorney, found guilty in the murders of his son, 22-year-old Paul, and his wife Maggie, has been sentenced to life in prison. Murdaugh's sentencing in Judge Clifton Newman's court came a little more than 12 hours after the 54-year-old disbarred lawyer was found guilty on 2 counts of murder in the June 2021 killings, as well as 2 counts of possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. I also want to say, this was during the same time we were looking for Gabby Petito. Because I remember someone on Facebook posted, anybody following along with this? And I commented, no, girl, we're trying to find Gabby. I thought that was so funny. But now everybody cares. But anyway, it was, when it first happened, like it was around the same time as Gabby. I don't mean to be laughing at something serious. Okay. Violence, corruption, and power. These are the key moments. Jurors reached the guilty verdict after less than 3 hours of deliberation.
That is unheard of.
Yes. That capped the 6-week trial that has captured the imagination of America and the world, and with its intricate web of murder, power, and corruption. The small town of Walterboro has been turned into a media circus for the trial's duration. In a dramatic scene fitting for the conclusion of a trial of high drama, Newman spoke directly to Murdaugh and told him he had no doubt about the spirits of the murdered victims will visit him every night. I added this, but I think this is crazy. This is what the guy said. He said, "You have to see Paul and Maggie at nighttime when you are attempting to go to sleep. I am sure they come and visit you." This is what the judge said, yeah.
Oh my God.
And then, wearing convict's clothing, Murdaugh said they did, but he also repeated several times his claims of being wrongfully convicted. He said, "I am innocent." Newman, however, spoke of Murdaugh's ability to lie and keep lying. He said, "When will this end?" The judge had had enough.
Honestly, it's so crazy to me that people lie under oath.
I know.
I just could never. I mean, putting my hand on a Bible and raising my right hand and saying, "I solemnly swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God."
I know.
Like,
I guess people are like, well,
do you think maybe he just really believes he didn't do it? Like, there's a psychological thing that can happen.
Yeah.
Where you trick yourself into thinking you didn't do it.
Yes, like O.J. Simpson. Yes. So, I think he knows that he did it, but I think, so, if you've seen it in the documentary, so I started the documentary, I told you that, and like, I've heard things, I haven't been following as closely as I normally would, because I kind of wanted it to end so I can get a full picture, but from what I've heard and seen places, his family is like super, like, corrupt. And, like, I think when you've been getting away with things for so long, it's probably so hard for you to imagine, like, your consequences catching up to your actions. And I think that's what it is. You can't imagine that his consequences have caught up to, like, what he's been doing. And it sounds like his family's been doing this for years. It's not just it's not a one-off. Yeah, him and Paul. And, because, I mean, if you guys I know about Stephen Smith and Gloria. So, yeah.
And Mallory.
And Mallory, which is like, chilling. Because, like, nobody's named Mallory. Like, it's such a uncommon name. And then, well, actually, it's a Southern name. And, like,
yes.
What I noticed on TV, this is just a side note, is that, like, a lot of things take place up north. So that's
true. And if it is a Southern thing, it's, like, outrageously Southern.
Yes. So, like, you never get Mallory's. But that's also why it seems like everybody on TV is Catholic. Because everybody up north is Catholic. I don't know if you noticed that, like, on Law and Order.
I don't feel like everybody on TV is Catholic.
I feel like, when they do Christians, they always talk about, whenever they talk about Christians, or, like, there's a Christian in a movie, they're a Catholic Christian. They're not, like, a Protestant.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Like, Law and Order, all of them that are Christians are Catholic. Oh. Yeah, something to notice.
I will say, we should talk about the fact that this is, okay, in my opinion, this is, like, classically Southern. For, like, a really, really rich family to get away with so much because they have connections with the sheriff and the businessman and the lawyer. And my mom also made a really good point. Shout out to Karen Weldon. Karen. She said that a lawyer being in prison, like, he's going to be at the top of the food chain.
Oh, they're probably going to put him in solitary.
Yeah.
That's why he's, like, saying, please give me, he doesn't want to go to prison. Which, to be honest, I feel like he should be on some sort of watch. Because I cannot imagine
suicide attempts, though, right?
Yeah, but I think what he was, so, listen, I literally just finished listening to a podcast talking about this. Like, it was a pop culture podcast, and they talked about this for, like, 5 seconds. What one of the girls said is she thinks, so it was like a thing with a cousin. Wait, was that the suicide attempt?
No, the suicide attempt was when he hired a hitman to shoot him.
So it was a cousin. It was his cousin.
Oh, I didn't know.
He hired his cousin to shoot him, at the stop sign, and the person who was talking about it, and me also, honestly, think that he hired him to shoot at the stop sign, and it didn't work out because he was going to shoot his cousin in self-defense and then blame everything on the cousin, so then he wouldn't get in trouble because the cousin was going crazy.
Oh my god!
Because the cousin was on like some sort of drugs too, so the cousin's going crazy, killed Maggie and Paul, and then now tried to kill him. But he's a hero and killed the cousin, and he was going to put it all on the cousin. That's what I think.
So messed up.
Yeah. Well, this is what happens when you're not used to consequences.
Yeah.
And I mean, even the whole thing with Mallory, like,
yeah,
no consequences.
No consequences. Gloria, no consequences.
Yeah. The Stephen Smith guy, no consequences.
Exactly.
And I think that, like, this is what happens. Like, that's why we need consequences. That's why God, what's the saying? It's something in Proverbs, but God talks about this in the Bible.
God has something to say on this.
Yeah, He has something to say about this. Also, this isn't what I was thinking of, but it also reminded me of this. So Luke 12, it's the verse that says, whatever is done in the dark comes to light. That wasn't, the full verse. But, like, whatever is done in the dark comes to light. For sure. And it always does. Always.
I think it's so fascinating that it was a 3-hour deliberation.
Oh, yeah. Well, and Stephen was saying, like, that first hour is even of them just, like, going over, okay, this is what we heard. It isn't even them discussing the case. It's literally just, like, going
just
over.
like facts.
Yeah. And, I mean, I think that people were just, because, okay, so I also heard, I don't know how true this is, but I also heard that, like, the courtroom where it was taken in, there was a picture of the grandfather. Because, the family's been there. There was a picture of the grandfather hanging in the courtroom. So they had to take down the picture. Like, that's how, like, ingrained the family is. And I think to me, I'm guessing these jurors are like, okay, you know what? If he really did this, I pray to God they, like, going with facts. If he really did this, which, we all think he did. If he really did this, like, we could not let him get away with it. So I think probably by then everybody had made up their mind. And I'm going to be honest, I did not think he would actually get away with it. I mean, I thought he would get away with it. Because A, rich people typically get away with stuff. Yeah. And then B, like, the only, like, real concrete evidence is that video.
Yeah.
They couldn't find that video.
Gun.
Yeah. Literally, there was no gun. Yeah. They could not find the gun. Literally, yeah. And he didn't have any blood on his clothes because he changed the clothes. But, like, another reason why I cannot be a juror, like, beyond a reasonable doubt is a really high bar. And I don't think I perfect example, Scott Peterson. Nobody shoot the messenger. I've listened to a bunch of stuff about Scott Peterson. I do think he did it, but I'm not sure beyond a reasonable doubt anymore. I do have a reasonable doubt for Scott Peterson. Yeah. So, like, that's a huge bar. And I think I do have beyond a reasonable doubt for Alex Murdaugh, but I would just feel more comfortable if there was a gun.
I know.
I would feel more comfortable if there was
that's what happens
any blood.
When,
but
like, people don't investigate.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay.
Yeah. I can't believe they haven't found the gun.
2 guns, right?
Maybe. I don't know
guns
how
were
many.
missing.
Okay. I don't know that detail of it, but 2 guns were missing. I can't believe they haven't found them. That's crazy. That's like something else. Oh, when they were taking a long time, but we didn't know this, but when they were taking a long time to find the person who had killed those kids in Idaho. The Idaho murders, like the kids it was like a couple months ago. They were in that house, and then like 4 of the kids were murdered, and then 2 of the kids were still. You didn't hear about this?
No.
I must not be describing it right. You definitely heard about it.
Okay, well maybe I have, but continue.
Anyway, it took a long time for them to find. I was like, how have they not found this guy? But then it turns out they did have all this information. They just weren't telling us. Yeah. Like the public. So I thought maybe that's what was happening with Murdaugh. And then, like, it looks like, no, they literally don't have the information. Yeah. Like, they literally don't know where the guns are. Crazy. Like, oh, okay, well. But yeah, everything done in darkness comes to light.
I think a really big victim of this situation is Gloria's family.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were supposed to get, like, millions because their mother had died on their property. Because if someone dies on your property, for the most part, it's your fault. Or at least you have to be held, you can be held legally accountable
Yeah, and if they have the money, then why not hold them?
Exactly. Yeah. And there was this plan to get them the money, and they never saw a dime.
That's sad. But I'm sure they feel very justified, a little bit, or like vindicated with this sentencing. Because, I mean, he's never going to see the light of day again.
Isn't it 30 to life?
I think it's 2 life sentences.
Really?
Yeah, I think
heard
so.
It was 30 to life.
Let me see. I think the article said 2 life sentences.
So wild that you can get 2 life sentences.
I know, that doesn't make any sense.
I guess it makes sense, like, on paper.
Yeah. Because life technically isn't your full life. I don't think people know that. Life just means, I think it means like 50 years. Okay, let me see what exactly he did. I'm guilty of the murders.
He also took the stand, which is a really bad move.
No, yeah. If you can avoid that, but he thinks he's so much smarter than everybody. So that's why he did it, I think. I think he thought he was just like, oh, I can do these people. I'm smarter than them.
Right. It's so wild. I mean, he defrauded so many people. Like, he does not...
Explain the fraud, because that part I don't know. I don't know about the murder.
Well, he was a very rich lawyer. And he was stealing money from his company, which, by the way, his great-great-grandfather had started.
Oh, wow.
So he's stealing a bunch of
money from his own family.
Yeah, pretty much, in order to fuel his medication addiction. There's no telling. There's no telling, guys, what we don't know.
Yeah, that's another thing, too, because the other thing... Well, also, the defense effort to establish reasonable doubt was badly damaged after cell phone video. That's literally how I feel. Like, that video, they did not find that video, he absolutely would have gotten away with it. Yeah. But another reason why I just remember this, I don't really understand the motive. Like...
That, I will say, I think I have an idea.
Tell me.
In the documentary, it says Maggie, the wife, and Paul start honing in on his addiction. They discover very, very shortly before the murders that he's an addict. He's a serious addict. And they start catching on. Yeah.
I get, like, that's so crazy because why kill somebody over that? Like, there has to be, I guess also maybe he was, drugged out. I don't know.
I really don't know. And then there was something saying that, like, he couldn't possibly have been consuming as much... I don't know if it was heroin or cocaine.
Oxycontin, I think.
Oh, yeah. But then there was something saying that he couldn't have possibly consumed that much. But I don't think it matters. I mean...
No.
He's admittedly a drug addict.
So it was life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Okay, so we were both kind of right.
Yeah. There's a mixture of both. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't... I mean... If he was an addict, he was an addict. It doesn't really matter how much he thinks he consumed. Yeah. And I think it was the guy who did Dope Sick. I think he was saying he was doing like 100 pills a day. So, I mean, people do it.
That is beyond me.
I can't imagine.
He was doing that. And also, like, had this Ponzi scheme. And also was, like, covering up these murders. And also was, like, in cahoots with the sheriff about other things. And, like, running a business, like...
It's beyond me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't even, like...
fathom.
I can't even do a day of DoorDash without being, like, exhausted.
Being a murderer sounds so exhausting.
It sounds exhausting.
So much fun. Like, and you have to hide it. It's not worth it. I wouldn't do it. Couldn't be me.
Didn't Joe Biden say, like, just have some ice cream?
Is that what he said?
Or maybe it was a sheriff. There was somebody that said, like, have some chocolate chip ice cream. Quit murdering people.
That's funny. And it'd be even funnier if Biden said that. I don't know if he said that, but it'd be even funnier.
Like double chocolate chip.
Yes, I know. There's that picture of him trying to lick the ice cream, which half of me is like, okay, we gotta stop because it's funny.
Are you compromising your Christian witness?
Right. Sometimes it's just like, oh goodness, this is a very old sick man. We have got to stop. But yeah.
Love him as a Christian brother.
Yes. So he's sentenced to life with a possibility of parole. That sucks. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Pray for his soul.
Yeah.
Pray for his soul, because, you know, it's kind of hard to believe someone would do that and truly be a follower of Christ.
He who lives by the sword dies by the sword.
That's what the Bible says.
Oh, gut-wrenching.
Well, we're going to do our last story, which is technically 2 stories, but they're kind of the same thing. And this one is brought to you by Gardew. You can use the code OTHERGIRLS to get 10% off. So, the first one is by People, and it's Kelsea Ballerini, says Morgan Evans wasn't happy. She wanted to freeze her eggs. It was not a good day.
Morgan, by the way, is a man.
Yes, good point. Kelsea Ballerini said her ex-husband Morgan Evans was eager to start a family, but she was not there yet. Ballerini recalled visiting her doctor to look into freezing her eggs and not telling Evans about the trip. Red flag number 1. She eventually took him to dinner and said she wanted to freeze her eggs when she turned 30, which was still a year and a half out. Quote, it was not a good day. And I think that was when I was like, there's a fundamental difference here that was happened that has shifted. And it's no longer like, I don't see this person. I miss this person. I'm alone. I'm lonely. It's like he wants something out of life and I'm not there. And whether I'll get there or not, I don't think it's with this person if it is. And I think internally, in hindsight, that's where I went like, I think maybe we need to rethink this, Kels. End quote. Kind of a mouthful. Essentially, she was saying that, so for this person, then I'll be the other one and then we'll discuss. So for this couple, Kelsea wanted to freeze her eggs. Her husband did not. Her husband, I do remember saying somewhere, he said he did not want to be an old dad, which I get that. But she just wasn't ready for it. She went and told him about it and he was not happy about it. So here's another person. This one is actually from Students for Life. How Paris Hilton has horrifically frozen 20 sons through IVF, waiting for a girl. In a recent interview with Glamour UK magazine, Hilton revealed that celebrity and childhood friend Kim Kardashian had advised her to begin IVF in her 30s when she was single. She stated, Kim had told me about it, so I had my eggs frozen. Putting potential medical and religious objections aside, choosing to extract and freeze one's eggs is one thing, as those eggs are not individual lives. Freezing embryos, however, is quite another thing, and that is where Hilton went next. She reported that she had begun dating her now husband just before the COVID-19 pandemic. The couple decided it would be more prudent to freeze embryos. Apparently, the couple has prudence in abundance because during the shutdown, they froze 20 different embryos altogether, and according to Hilton, they're still not satisfied. Why? Because those embryos are males. Hilton said, Carter and I had already been talking about the future, and then the world was shut down, so I was like, what do you think about us making embryos? And he said, yeah, let's do it. And we've done it 7 times. I have all boys. I have 20 boys. I just went through the process again a month ago, so I'm waiting for the results to see if there's any girls. According to Dr. Christine Allen, a veteran embryologist who works deeply within the IVF field, embryo abandonment is happening on a mass scale within the United States. Couples ghost their IVF clinics, leaving frozen children in their wake. Dr. Allen said, quote, abandoned embryos are a major problem and it's everywhere, end quote, stating that she believes that at least hundreds of thousands of abandoned embryos in the U.S. Upon abandonment, IVF clinics have to decide whether to thaw out the embryos or throw them away as medical waste. And if the embryos aren't abandoned, many couples choose this route anyway, disposing of the human lives they've created because they aren't convenient for them. Hilton maintains that she's taking this route because she is terrified by childbirth and traumatized by past incidents in her life. It's not in this article, but I read somewhere that she had actually had an abortion, and it was very traumatizing, and she thought that maybe if she actually gave birth, it would, like, be a traumatic event, just like the abortion was.
Wow.
This person who wrote the article said, while we sympathize with her hardships, our own victimization can never be used as an excuse to victimize others. Those 20 boys frozen away do not deserve to be discarded merely because she wants a girl or because there are one too many of them. Okay, so the reason why I was like, oh, we can talk about them together is because obviously they're about women freezing their eggs. And it kind of sounds like the same type of, I guess it's different reasons, but it kind of still goes to the same type of, to the root cause, I think, is the same. But on the surface, it is 2 different reasons. Kelsea wanted to expand. She wanted to keep going in her career, and she feels as if a child will hold her back. Paris has had traumatic events, and she's scared to give birth. And she wants a girl, even though she has boys. So, how are you feeling about these articles? What do you think? What do you think this whole freezing eggs? What do you think about all that?
Well, I definitely think the latter story is very troubling. Like, I would say arguably more troubling than the former.
I agree.
The fact that, like, and I can't say what God's plan is. I can't say what God wants, but to me it seems like if you have 20 boys.
I know, I'm like, God wants you to have boys.
God
is saying something to you.
Literally. I mean, it's just so wild. And I also loved that Students for Life quoted an embryologist who probably is pro IVF, right?
Yeah.
If he or she is working in that field.
Yeah.
Saying, like, we kind of have to slow down.
Yeah.
Like, this is a problem.
Hundreds of thousands is what she said.
I think
At least.
somebody in, like, an RCIA group that I was in put it really well. They said, we're putting souls in limbo. Oof. By freezing human beings.
Yeah.
That is wild. It's wild.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about. So, I agree with everything you said. When I was in my earlier 20s, I thought about doing the freezing the egg thing. Mm-hmm. If you guys watch The Mindy Project, good show-ish. Love her style on the show. But toward the end, she starts a freezing company called Later Baby. And then they market it really cute and everything. And, like, the idea is, like, okay, if you don't find someone, your eggs, they tell us, okay, by the time you turn 30, half your eggs are dead. You disgusting woman, half your eggs are dead by the time you're 30. So this is what they're telling us. Mm-hmm. So, you're in your head, oh, my God, by the time I'm 30, what if I don't meet anybody? Yeah. You're freaking out in your head. So they're, like, telling you to freeze your eggs, blah, blah, blah. So I thought about it. First of all, it's expensive, so, Yeah. It didn't go past the how to freeze your eggs stage in Google. Yeah. And then I started doing more research about it, being in the pro-life movement, and hearing people talk about it. And it's such a difficult topic because, think about how many people we know that are IVF babies or have used it. Yeah. But I think there is something to be said. We have to still talk about at least the fact that you said there's souls that are frozen. Mm-hmm. These are babies. If you believe when egg and sperm meets, that's a human. They're just humans frozen.
That is it's not our place.
It's not. At least hundreds of thousands are just frozen. That is so wrong. And sometimes, I think we talked about this. This is Melanie was on. We talked about this weeks ago when they were talking about they're trying to do like 2 sperms and an egg, making human things. And I think it was either that or when they were doing artificial wombs, we talk about that. Anyway, my whole point is, we talk so much about, let's try this, but we never think, should we? Mm. There's so many scientific advancements. Should we be doing this? Like, is this beneficial? Like, is this really, like,
it seems so reckless.
Yes.
To keep making people.
Yes.
Like, that's the problem people have with the pro-life movement. They're like, if I'm not ready to have a kid, why are you making me? And it's like, you're making kids either way.
Yeah, literally.
I mean, clearly it doesn't matter if you're ready or not, because people are still going to make babies.
Yeah.
And that's not, I don't mean it in like it doesn't matter if you're ready, but like, there's this other end of the spectrum where people are like,
doing it willy-nilly. Yeah. They're picking surrogates. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen that video of Shane Dawson and his, I don't know what they are now. Sometimes they're engaged, sometimes they're not. But the person he's with, they're going through and they're looking at different surrogates like, ooh, maybe we should get her. Like, it's so gross. It's so disgusting.
It's like a mad science-y vibe.
Yeah.
Like, I want a tall baby. Like, click this.
Yes.
Like, blue eyes. Click this.
Yes.
Female. Click this.
And the fact that she's waiting for a girl, that just seems so... It's just so wrong. Like, it just seems... I understand wanting a specific gender. That's not necessarily what we're getting.
Hoping for, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I personally want only girls.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, to me, that'd be fun,
easy.
But whatever God gives me is what God gives me, and that's how it is. And I think that we're in such a society now where we can, everything's like, have it your way. I don't like this, let me just do it this way. Which, in some instances, is fine, you know? But things like this, we can't go against that.
We're playing God.
We're playing God. And I think, like, so to also talk about Kelsea a little bit, I think, well, first of all, I'm so confused why this did not come up earlier in their marriage. Like,
true.
I don't understand, like, why they're just now, well, I guess a year ago, they just started talking about, like, how they feel about kids. I definitely don't think this, once again, like I said before, I personally don't think this is something, not just me, God, this is something you're supposed to divorce somebody over. This is something where you're supposed to both give it to God and then, like, you know, the woman submits. But anyway, I don't want to hear that. But anywho, I do think it's also interesting, though, that she wanted to freeze them. And it just, like I said earlier, it, like, the later baby thing, it just makes it seem like, okay, if you have kids, you know, once you turn 30, your eggs are disgusting, you old hag. Yeah. And that's how they act. So people feel that they have to do this. And the other underlying thing that she's saying is, like, she can't be successful with a kid. And she absolutely can be successful with a kid.
For sure.
Will things be exactly the same? No, because that's not how life works. If you get cancer after you're healed from it, things will be different. That's just how life is. But you can absolutely do it. There's plenty of successful mothers that are also pop stars. Kelly Clarkson. True. Carrie Underwood. Adele. Yeah. Rihanna. I mean, Rihanna was at the Super Bowl. Literally. So yeah. So
one last thing. We're at about 56 minutes. I think it's wild that we've, like, chosen to create humans out of anything other than a loving embrace. Like, love makes love. Yeah. Doesn't mean that people that are conceived via IVF are any less valuable and is loved. Yeah. But it degrades the human being to bring them into this world via a test tube. Yeah. Rather than a loving embrace.
Yeah. And I think it matters how you are conceived, in the sense of, you know, if your parents are married and in love, and versus, you know, you're conceived in a one-night stand. Yeah. I think it does matter. I mean, God can redeem anything. For sure. But I do think it does
that's what matter. I'm saying. Like, it degrades the human being.
Yeah.
To bring them into this world in any other circumstance other than what God had planned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something can degrade you. It doesn't mean you're less valuable.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
A lot of stuff, Mallory.
A lot of stuff today. We have talked.
My heart.
Yeah, I know. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, share with your friends. Trying to think of anything else to add. Any other announcements? Just sign up for the tea party. Sign up for the fashion show. Yeah. Make sure you share this episode. We'll definitely. There's so many other things we didn't talk about. Haley this week. Haley and
Selena.
And Selena. I couldn't even remember her name. We didn't talk about Haley and Selena this week. There's just so many things we didn't get into. Yeah. So we'll definitely have to do that soon. Kelly and Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. There's just a lot of things that have happened this week.
Stay tuned. We know about them.
Yeah. So, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it with your friends. Rate, review, like, subscribe. However you're listening to it, interact with it. Our question for the week will be...
What do you think of the song Flowers?
Yes, tell us how did you take Flowers? Did you think it was about all men or a specific man? That's a good question. So yeah, comment that. We'll do that on Spotify. We'll also do that on the YouTube. Comment on YouTube. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. tell us what you think about flowers in the review if you'd like.
Yeah.
Either way, just leave a review, please. And that's it. Yeah. Have a good day, evening, however, wherever you are.